Be me, 38 years old, sitting in my home office at 11 in the morning on a Tuesday, staring at my laptop screen with a cup of cold coffee next to me that I made 3 hours ago and forgot about. Scrolling through social media like I do every morning before I actually start working on my consulting projects. Technically, I'm supposed to be reviewing a contract proposal, but honestly, who cares about that right now? See a notification that someone tagged me in a photo. It's from Rachel, one of the mutual friends from the old neighborhood. My stomach does this weird flip thing before I even click on it. Already know it's going to be about him. It's been 4 months since the divorce was finalized and 8 months since I moved out. Told everyone it was mutual. Told everyone I needed space to grow. Told everyone the relationship had run its course, which was all true from my perspective. 10 years, with someone who just didn't understand what partnership actually meant in the goodness. Modern world. 10 years of having to explain that I wasn't his mother or his maid. 10 years of resisting every societal expectation that tried to shove me into a box labeled wife with all these ridiculous obligations. Click on the notification anyway, because apparently I hate myself. It's a photo from some brunch, gathering at the Harrisons' place. There's Derek, my ex-husband, standing in their kitchen with his arm around some woman I've never seen before. She's wearing a simple dress, nothing fancy. Her hair is up in a ponytail. She's smiling at the camera, but also kind of leaning into him. The caption says, "Congrats to the newlyweds. 1 week married and already the happiest couple we know. Number blessed, number couple goals." 1 week. He got remarried, and I didn't even know he was engaged. I feel this hot surge of something in my chest that I refuse to call jealousy, because that would be absurd. I was the one who left. I was the one who filed the papers. I was the one who said I couldn't live like that anymore. Scroll through the comments and everyone is just gushing about them. Sarah wrote, "That pot roast yesterday was a Marsing Claire. Derek is so lucky." Pot roast. She made a pot roast. I feel myself physically recoiling from the screen. The entire time Derek and I were together, he would occasionally make these pathetic little comments about how his mom used to make pot roast on Sundays. He never directly asked me to make it, but the implication was always there. Like I was supposed to just automatically know how to cook some complicated meat dish because I happened to be female. I specifically never made it out of principle. We had a perfectly functional kitchen, and he had hands and access to recipes same as me. If he wanted pot roast so badly, he could have made it himself. But no, he would just do that sad puppy dog thing and mention it every few months like I was somehow failing him. Keep scrolling through the photos Rachel posted. There's a whole album apparently. One photo shows their kitchen counter with like 6 different dishes spread out. Homemade rolls, some kind of casserole, salad, the pot roast, roasted vegetables, and what looks like an apple pie. The caption on that one says, "Claire made this incredible spread for Derek's work colleagues yesterday. She insisted on hosting, even though they literally just got back from their honeymoon. Superwoman." His work colleagues. The same work colleagues. I refused to host for 10 years because I wasn't going to play the role of the dutiful corporate wife. Derek worked in commercial real estate, and his company had these quarterly social events where the partners were expected to bring spouses and do the whole networking dinner thing. I went to exactly 3 of them in 10 years, and I made it clear each time that I was there as his equal, not as arm candy or as someone to smile and serve drinks. And the last one I attended, I spent the whole evening talking to the other wives about how they should demand their husbands do more childcare. One of them literally got up and moved away from me mid-conversation. Derek was so embarrassed he didn't talk to me the whole drive home. I told him he should be proud to have a wife who actually had thoughts and opinions instead of just standing around looking pretty. He said that wasn't what he meant, and I was deliberately misunderstanding him. We didn't speak for 3 days after that. Eventually, he just stopped asking me to come to work events, which was fine by me, because they were boring anyway, and I had my own career to worry about. Stare at this photo of the dinner spread this Claire person made. She made homemade rolls. Who even does that? Who has the time to sit around making bread from scratch? Doesn't she have her own life? Doesn't she have her own ambitions? Doesn't she realize she's setting feminism back by decades with this performance? Click on Claire's profile, even though I know I shouldn't. It's public, which seems naive, but whatever. Her recent posts are all from the wedding and honeymoon. They got married at some small venue upstate, looks like maybe 50 people. Intimate and personal, according to the captions. There's a photo of them cutting the cake, and the way he's looking at her makes my stomach hurt. He never looked at me like that, or maybe he did at the beginning, and I just don't remember. Our wedding was a statement. We had it at this industrial art gallery space, and I wore a pantsuit instead of a dress. Walked myself down the aisle because the whole giving away the bride thing is literally property transfer symbolism. Our vows were about mutual respect and maintaining individual identity within partnership. I specifically did not promise to honor or obey because those concepts are patriarchal control mechanisms. Derek wrote his own vows too, and they were fine, I guess. He talked about supporting my dreams and being my partner in all things. At the time, I thought it was romantic. Looking back, he was probably already compromising everything he actually wanted. Scroll further down Claire's page. There's a post from 6 days ago. So, like the second day of their marriage. It's a photo of a lunchbox. An actual adult lunchbox, with like a sandwich cut into triangles and little containers of fruit and vegetables and a handwritten note visible on top. The note says, "Have an amazing day. So proud of you. Love, C." The caption says, "Started a new tradition today. Want to make sure my hardworking husband knows he's appreciated." There are like 60 comments on this. All positive. All supportive. Women saying things like, "So sweet," and "He's lucky to have you," and "This is what marriage should look like," and feel my jaw clenching. Derek asked me exactly one time in our entire marriage if I would ever consider packing him a lunch. It was maybe year 2 or 3. He framed it all carefully. Like, "I know you're really busy with work, but I thought maybe if you ever had extra time in the morning, it would be nice to have a homemade lunch instead of always buying something." I looked at him like he had 3 heads. I told him that his lunch was his responsibility, and I wasn't his personal caterer. Asked him if he had ever considered packing Emmy a lunch. He said he would, if I wanted him to. I said that wasn't the point. The point was that he automatically assumed lunch packing was wife work. He apologized and never brought it up again. But I could tell he was hurt. He did that thing where he got really quiet and just said, "You're right, sorry," in a way that meant he wasn't actually sorry. He was just ending the conversation. Started packing his own lunches after that. Usually just a sandwich and chips, or sometimes leftovers, if we had any, which we usually didn't because neither of us cooked much. I was always too busy with work, and he eventually stopped trying after I shot down enough of his suggestions for meal planning. We ate out probably 5 nights a week. A lot of now, takeout. I considered it efficient. Why waste time on domestic labor when we could both be focusing on our careers? Derek never complained about it directly, but he did make comments sometimes about missing home-cooked food. I told him he should learn to cook then. He said he tried, but he wasn't very good at it. I said that was learned helplessness, and he needed to push through it. We ordered Thai food that night and ate it in silence while watching separate shows on our individual devices. That was kind of what our evenings looked like for the last 4 or 5 years. We'd come home, be polite to each other, eat whatever we ordered, and then retreat to separate spaces. I'd work on my blog or my consulting projects. He'd watch sports or play video games, or sometimes just go to bed early. We probably had actual conversations, maybe twice a week. Mostly logistical stuff about bills or schedules, or whose turn it was to deal with the lawn service. Sex happened maybe once a month, if that. I was usually too tired, and he eventually stopped initiating after I turned him down enough times. Told myself it was normal for long-term couples to have reduced intimacy. Told myself that physical attraction wasn't the foundation of a mature partnership. Told myself a lot of things, apparently. Keep scrolling through Claire's social media like I'm some kind of masochist. There's a post from 4 days ago. It's a photo of their living room, and it looks completely different from when I lived there. When Derek and I shared that house, the living room was minimal and modern. I had insisted on it. White walls, minimal furniture, no clutter, everything clean and geometric. I thought it looked sophisticated. Derek said it felt cold, but I told him he just wasn't used to actual adult design aesthetic. In Claire's photo, there are throw pillows and blankets and plants, and framed photos and warm lighting. It looks like people actually live there. It looks cozy. It looks like a home. The caption says, "Spent my first weekend as a wife making our house feel like a home. Derek said he loves coming back to a warm space after work. Making him happy makes me happy. There's a comments thread where someone asks if she's nervous about being a newlywed, and she responds with this whole paragraph about how she feels so blessed to be married to someone who values and cherishes her. She writes, "He's so thoughtful and kind and patient, and I just want to show him every day how much I appreciate him. I know some people think acts of service are old-fashioned, but I genuinely love taking care of him, and he takes care of me in his own ways too. It's a partnership." Partnership. She's using that word, but she clearly doesn't understand what it actually means. Partnership means equal division of labor. Partnership means no one is subordinating themselves to gender roles. Partnership means both people maintain their individual autonomy. What she's describing is just traditional wife performance. She's going to burn out in 6 months when she realizes she's trapped in a cycle of domestic servitude. Or maybe she won't realize it. Maybe she's one of those women who never questions anything. Maybe she's perfectly happy to define herself entirely through her relationship to a man. Feel myself getting angry now instead of just hurt. This is exactly the kind of thing I write about on my blog. The way women are still socialized to find fulfillment through service to men. The way we're taught that our value comes from being nurturing and accommodating. The way patriarchy convinces us that our oppression is actually empowerment. Open a new tab and start drafting a blog post. I don't mention Derek or Claire by name, obviously, but I write this whole piece about how I've been observing a situation where a woman is performing traditional femininity and receiving social praise for it. Write about how this performance is harmful, not just to her, but to all women. Write about how every time the woman packs her husband's lunch, or makes him pot roast, or redecorates to suit his preferences, she's reinforcing the idea that women exist to serve men. Write about how this kind of behavior makes it harder for women like me who refuse to play that role. Write about how men become conditioned to expect this treatment, and then view women who won't provide it as deficient. I'm really on a roll now. The post is getting long, and I'm pulling in academic sources and statistics about unpaid domestic labor. Cite some studies about the mental load and emotional labor women carry in relationships. Talk about how heterosexual marriage is still fundamentally an unequal institution. End with a call to action for women to resist these expectations and demand true equality. Post it to my blog and share it across all my social media. Immediately get a few supportive comments from my regular readers. Women who get it. Women who understand that we can't achieve liberation by going backwards into the kitchen. Feel a bit better. Like, I've regained some sense of control over this situation. Over the next few days, I keep checking Derek and Claire's social media. Hate myself for it, but can't seem to stop. Claire posts a photo of them hiking together on what must be day 5 of the marriage. They're both sweaty and smiling and holding hands. Caption says, "Derek's been wanting to check out this trail for years. So glad we finally did it together. He's the best adventure partner." Years. He wanted to do that hike for years. He asked me to go hiking with him probably a dozen times throughout our marriage. I always said no because I don't see the point of walking in nature when you could be doing something productive. Also, I have bad knees and didn't want to aggravate them. Also, it was always on weekends, and I needed weekends to catch up on work. He eventually joined a hiking group and went without me. I thought that was a perfect solution, because we both got to do what we wanted. But, looking at this photo now, I can see how happy he looks. Happier than I remember seeing him in years. There's another post from day 6. It's a photo of their dining room table set for dinner. Candles, cloth napkins, actual plating like from a restaurant. The caption says, "Tuesday night date night at home. Made Derek's favorite, chicken parmesan. He said, it's better than his mom's, but I think he's biased." Chicken parmesan. Another thing he used to mention occasionally. Another thing I never made. Never even attempted. I remember one time he suggested we could cook together as like a couple's activity. He said it might be fun to try making something elaborate. I told him I didn't find cooking fun, and if he wanted to make fancy meals, he should go ahead, but not expect me to participate. He looked disappointed, but didn't push it. That was around year 6 or 7, I think. Around the time he stopped trying to initiate activities we could do together. Around the time we started living more. Like roommates, then spouses. My phone buzzes, and it's a text from my friend Amanda. She's one of my actual friends, not someone from the old neighborhood. She says, "Hey, Saw your blog post about traditional gender roles. Really insightful as always. Are you doing okay though? Seemed maybe personal. I respond, I'm fine. Just frustrated by seeing women set themselves up for disappointment by buying into patriarchal relationship models. She sends back, okay, just checking. Want to grab drinks this weekend? I tell her, yes, because I do actually need to get out of this house. I realize I've barely left except for grocery shopping since I moved into this apartment. It's a nice apartment, modern, efficient, everything I wanted. 1 bedroom, home office space, minimal kitchen, because I don't need much. Exactly what I told Derek I needed when I said I wanted the divorce. Told him I felt suffocated in that house in the suburbs. Told him I needed space, that was just mine. Told him our marriage had become stifling and conventional and I needed to rediscover myself. He asked if we could try counseling first. I said counseling was just a way to delay the inevitable. Told him we'd grown apart and wanted different things. Told him he wanted a traditional wife, and that was never going to be me. He said that wasn't true. He just wanted a partner who actually liked him. That comment stuck with me because it seemed so manipulative. Of course I liked him. I married him, didn't I? I spent 10 years with him. Just because I didn't express affection the way he wanted didn't mean I didn't care. I showed my care by being honest with him, by challenging him to grow, by not letting him settle into comfortable patterns of gender conformity. That was love, even if he couldn't see it. On day 7 of Derek and Claire's marriage, she posts a long caption with a photo of the two of them on their couch. He's reading something, and she's curled up next to him with her head on his shoulder. It's annoyingly picturesque. The caption is lengthy. She writes about how she can't believe it's already been a week since they got married. Writes about how every day she discovers new things to love about him. Writes this whole paragraph about how he brought her coffee in bed that morning and how he always asks about her day and really listens. Writes, I never knew marriage could be this beautiful. We take care of each other. He works so hard for us, and I love making our home a peaceful place for him to come back to. But he also does so much for me. He encourages my hobbies. He supports my goals. He tells me I'm beautiful, even when I'm in sweatpants with no makeup. This is partnership. This is love. I'm so grateful. The post gets like 200 likes in an hour. All the comments are positive. People talking about relationship goals and how beautiful they are together and how this is what marriage should be. See that Rachel commented, you two are perfect together. Derek deserves this. After everything, what is that supposed to mean? Click on the comment thread and someone else replied to Rachel saying, right? He's such a good guy. I'm so glad he found someone who appreciates him. Feel my face getting hot. They're talking about me. They're implying I didn't appreciate him, which is completely unfair because they have no idea what our marriage was actually like. They didn't see all the ways he was passively controlling, all the ways he tried to push me into traditional roles, all the unspoken expectations. But open the post to write a comment, but stop myself. That would be insane. That would be showing that I care. Close the browser and try to focus on actual work. Manage about 30 minutes before I'm scrolling again. This time, I go back through my own social media to the posts I made during my marriage, looking for evidence, I guess. Proof that I wasn't a terrible wife. Proof that our marriage failed because of legitimate incompatibility, not because of anything I did wrong. There's a post from 3 years ago where I wrote about emotional labor and how women are expected to manage all the feelings in a relationship. I've got a lot of engagement on that one. There's one from 5 years ago about how I refused to take Derek's last name and the social pushback I received, several posts about the wage gap and career advancement for women. A whole series about division of household labor. But scrolling through all of these, I noticed something. There are almost no photos of Derek and me together. The few couple photos that exist are from other people's events where someone else took the picture. We're always standing next to each other, but not really touching. Both looking at the camera with polite smiles. There's not a single photo like the ones Claire posts. No candid moments of us laughing together or being affectionate. No evidence of actual joy. Try to remember the last time Derek and I laughed together. Really laughed. Not just polite chuckles. Can't come up with a specific memory. We didn't really joke around. Our conversations were mostly practical or political. I'd talk about my work or current events. He'd listen mostly. Sometimes contribute, but usually he just seemed tired. I thought he was boring. Thought he lacked intellectual curiosity. Thought he just didn't have much to say. But maybe I never gave him space to say anything. Maybe I dominated every conversation. Maybe I shut down anything that didn't interest me. No, that's not fair to myself. I was just being honest about my interests. He could have pushed back more if he wanted to discuss other things. It's not my fault. He was passive. Friday comes, and I meet Amanda for drinks at this wine bar downtown. She's already there when I arrive, looking at her phone. We hug and sit down and order a bottle to share. Amanda asks how I'm doing with the divorce being finalized. I tell her I'm fine, relieved actually, feeling free. She nods but looks skeptical, asks if I've started dating again. Tell her, no, I'm focusing on myself right now, which is true. I've been on a few dating apps, but haven't connected with anyone. Went on 2 dates in the past 3 months. One guy talked about himself the entire time. The other one seemed intimidated by me. When I mentioned my consulting work and my blog, he got quiet. Amanda talks about her own relationship stuff for a while. She's been with her boyfriend for 2 years, and they're thinking about moving in together. She seems happy, but also anxious about it. Asks me if I have any advice since I've been through marriage and divorce. I tell her to make sure she doesn't lose herself in the relationship. Tell her to maintain clear boundaries and not fall into gendered patterns. Tell her to watch out for signs that she's doing more emotional labor than he is. She listens and nods, but something in her expression seems uncertain. Then she says, "Can I ask you something personal?" I say, "Sure." She says, "Did you love Derek? Like when you got married, were you in love with him?" The question catches me off guard. I take a drink of wine before answering. Say, "Of course I loved him. I married him," she says. "But like, did you like him? Did you enjoy being around him?" Feel myself getting defensive. Say, "What kind of question is that?" she says. "I'm not trying to be rude. I'm genuinely asking. Because I've known you for 5 years now, and I can't remember you ever saying anything positive about him. Even before the divorce." Tell her, that's not true. She says, "Name one thing you loved about him. One specific thing." Sit there trying to think. Say, "He was responsible, reliable, good with money." She says, "Those are accountant qualities. I'm asking about him as a person you chose to spend your life with." Say, "I don't appreciate being interrogated about my failed marriage." She holds up her hands and says, "Sorry, I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just trying to understand because you seem really unhappy and I want to help." Tell her, "I'm not unhappy. I'm just adjusting." We change the subject, but the conversation has left me rattled. Can't really focus on anything else she's saying. Keep thinking about her question. What did I love about Derek? We met at a professional networking event when I was 27 and he was 29. He was funny that night, made me laugh several times. We talked about work mostly, but also about travel and books. He seemed smart and stable and different from the other guys I dated, who were all either too aggressive or too wishy-washy. Derek seemed solid. We dated for 8 months before he proposed. The proposal was simple. At the restaurant where we had our first date, I said yes because it made sense. We were compatible, both career-focused, both independent. I thought we wanted the same things. But thinking about it now, I realize I don't know what Derek wanted. I know what I wanted, and I assumed he was on board. I wanted a marriage that looked different from my parents' marriage. My mum had been a stay-at-home mother who seemed to disappear into wife and mother role. She was always cooking and cleaning and managing everyone else's needs. My dad appreciated her, I guess, but also just expected it. It was assumed that this was what women did. I was determined to not become that. When Derek and I got married, I made it clear that we would have an equal partnership. Said I would not be doing all the cooking and cleaning. Said we would split everything 50-50. We said I would keep my own name and my own career and my own identity. He agreed to all of it. Said he wanted me to be happy and fulfilled. Said he didn't have traditional expectations. But over time, there were all these little things. Comments about how nice it would be to have family dinners, suggestions that we host his parents for holidays, mentions of friends whose wives did various domestic things. I shot all of it down because I could see where it was leading. I could see him trying to subtly push me into a traditional role and wasn't going to fall for it. Get home from drinks with Amanda, feeling worse than when I left. Check social media again, even though I know I shouldn't. Derek and Claire have been tagged in multiple posts from what looks like a dinner party at someone's house. It's Saturday night, and apparently they're out being social with the old neighborhood crowd. There are group photos and couple photos. In every single one, Derek has his arm around Claire. She's leaning into him. They look comfortable together. Natural. There's a photo of Claire in the kitchen with a couple of the other women. They're all laughing about something. The caption from the host says, "So lovely, having everyone over. Special shout out to Claire for bringing those incredible desserts." She brought desserts, homemade by the looks of them. The comments are full of people asking for recipes. Claire responds to each one enthusiastically, talking about how she loves baking and would be happy to share, offering to do a baking day with some of the neighbors. She's infiltrating the social circle, becoming part of the group. These were my people first. I lived in that neighborhood for 7 years, but I never really connected with the other wives. They always seemed kind of vapid to me, always talking about their kids and their houses and their husbands. I'd try to steer conversations toward politics or current events, and they'd sort of politely engage, then drift away. Eventually, I stopped going to neighborhood gatherings and told Derek he could go without me. He did for a while, but then he stopped going too. I think he was embarrassed to show up alone, or maybe he just lost interest. We became isolated as a couple, which I told myself was fine because we didn't need those superficial friendships. But looking at these photos now, everyone looks so happy, so connected. And Derek is right there in the middle of it. Claire has integrated. Tell him back into the community in 1 week. On Sunday, I do something I really shouldn't do. I drive to the old neighborhood, tell myself I'm just going for a drive. Happen to go past the house. It's afternoon, and there are cars in the driveway. I slow down, without meaning to. Through the front window, I can see people in the living room. Looks like Derek's parents are there. And Claire's family, maybe. Some kind of post-wedding family gathering. I pull over a few houses down and just sit there watching. Feel like a complete psycho, but can't seem to leave. After about 10 minutes, the front door opens, and Derek comes out with his dad. They're laughing about something. Derek looks relaxed and happy. His dad pats him on the shoulder. They stand on the front lawn, talking for a few minutes. Derek's dad says something, and Derek grins. Actually grins. This wide, genuine smile. I don't think I ever saw him smile like that. At least not in the past 5 or 6 years. Claire comes out carrying a platter of something. She hands it to Derek's dad and gives him a hug. Derek's dad hugs her back and says something that makes her laugh. Derek puts his arm around her waist. They stand there like that, this perfect little family tableau. Derek's mom comes out too. She's holding a bag of what looks like leftovers. She hugs Claire for a long time. Too long. Then, she says something while holding Claire's hands. Claire nods and looks emotional. Derek's mom hugs Derek too. I'm too far away to hear anything, but I can see Derek's mom has tears in her eyes. Happy tears, probably. Tears of relief that her son finally found someone suitable. Someone who knows how to play the role correctly. Derek's parents hated me. Well, hate is too strong. They were polite but distant. Derek's mum tried at first, but invited me to go shopping with her a few times in the early years. Wanted to do mother-daughter bonding, I guess. I always declined because I found her conventional and we had nothing in common. She asked me once if I was planning to have children. I told her I wasn't sure, and even if I did, it wouldn't define me. She got quiet after that. At family gatherings, she'd ask me about work, but in that polite way that made it clear she didn't really understand or care. She'd talk about recipes and home decorating, and I'd just nod along, barely listening. Told Derek once that his mum was kind of boring. He got upset and said she was just trying to connect with me. I said she should try connecting over topics that weren't so domestic. He said I could meet her halfway. I said, why should I have to change who I am to make his mother comfortable? We fought about it, and eventually he stopped trying to facilitate a relationship between us. Holidays became tense. His parents would come over, or we'd go there, and I'd be polite but removed. I'd usually bring work with me and disappear to another room. They told myself their judgment of me was their problem. Now watching Derek's mum hug Claire, like she's the daughter she always wanted. Feels like vindication of everything I suspected. They wanted Derek to have a traditional wife. Someone who would fit their outdated model. Well, now they got what they wanted. Sit there watching until the family members start leaving. Then, I drive back to my apartment. I feel hollow. Monday morning, I'm trying to work, but keep refreshing social media. Claire posts a photo of Derek leaving for work. He's in a suit, carrying the lunchbox she packed. The caption says, "Week 2, here we come. Sending my incredible husband off with a full belly and a full heart. Have an amazing day, babe." Babe, she calls him babe publicly. It's so saccharine, it makes my teeth hurt. But the comments are all supportive. Women saying how sweet it is. Saying, Claire is wife goals. Saying Derek is lucky. Someone comments, "This is what real love looks like." That comment has 37 likes. Feel something snap inside me. Go back to my blog and write another post. This one is more specific. Still don't name names, but I write about witnessing someone I know fall into the trap of performing for male approval. Write about how this woman is clearly defining herself entirely through her relationship. Write about how the praise she's receiving is just patriarchal reinforcement. Write about how she's making other women look bad by setting unrealistic standards. Write, when women perform traditional femininity, this enthusiastically, they're not just hurting themselves, they're hurting all of us. They're telling men that this level of service is normal and expected. They're making women who refuse these roles look deficient. They're setting back decades of progress. Write about how this kind of behavior is often rooted in insecurity and the need for validation. Write, women who define themselves through service to men are often deeply insecure about their own worth. They believe they have to earn love through constant performance. It's sad, really. True partnership doesn't require one person to sublimate themselves. Post it and share it everywhere. Feel righteously angry. Feel justified. Within an hour, the post has a lot more engagement than usual. But I start noticing the tone of the comments is different. Someone writes, "This seems really judgmental. What if she just genuinely enjoys taking care of her husband?" Someone else writes, "I cook for my partner because I love cooking and I love him. That doesn't make me a patriarchal puppet." Another comment says, "This kind of feminism is why people don't take feminism seriously. You're literally attacking women for their choices." Start responding to comments, trying to clarify my point. But more comments keep coming. Someone writes, "I know who you're talking about, and honestly, you sound bitter and jealous." My stomach drops. Someone figured it out. Responds saying, "This post is about broader patterns, not one specific person, but the damage is done." Someone else comments, "If this is about your ex, getting remarried, maybe you should deal with that privately instead of disguising it as feminism." Another comment, "I was in a marriage where my spouse refused to show any affection or appreciation, and it was miserable. Leaving that marriage was the best thing that ever happened to me. Your ex probably feels the same. The post is getting shared, but not in the way I wanted. People are screenshotting it and commenting elsewhere." By Tuesday morning, it's made its way to a Reddit thread. Someone posted it under a subreddit about relationship dynamics. The comments, they are brutal. People calling me bitter and resentful. People saying, "I clearly never loved my husband." People psychoanalyzing my motivations. Someone went through my blog history and pulled out quotes from posts I wrote during my marriage. Created this whole timeline showing how I talked about my husband. Pointing out that I never said anything affectionate or positive. Showing how I framed every disagreement as him being controlling or traditional. One comment says, "She spent 10 years with someone she clearly didn't respect or appreciate, and now she's mad that someone else does. Classic." Another says, "Imagine being this threatened by someone else's happiness. Try to ignore it, but the thread keeps growing. It gets cross-posted to other subreddits." Someone links to my consulting business page. Now, strangers on the internet know my full name and what I do for work. Start getting emails. Some are supportive from people who agree with my feminist analysis, but more are critical or outright nasty. Someone sends a long email explaining how they were in a relationship with someone like me and how damaging it was. Writes, "You say you want partnership, but what you really want is control. You want someone who will agree with everything you say and never ask anything of you. That's not partnership, that's dominance." Delete the email but can't stop thinking about it. By Wednesday, I'm barely sleeping. Keep checking to see how far the posts have spread. Someone made a TikTok about it. A video essay type thing about how some feminists use feminism as a cover for their own issues with intimacy and vulnerability. The video has like 400,000 views. The comments are full of people sharing their own stories. People who were in relationships with partners who refused to be affectionate or appreciative. People who felt like they could never do anything right. People who eventually left and found partners who actually liked them. It's like a mass catharsis happening in response to my blog post. But I'm the villain in all these stories. 2. Get a text from Rachel from the neighborhood. She says, "Hey, I don't know if you've seen what's going around online, but people are saying some of those blog posts are about Derek and Claire. Is that true?" Don't know how to respond. She sends another text. "If it is true, I think you should know that it's making you look really bad. People are upset." I write back, "It wasn't specifically about them. It was about broader social patterns." She responds, "It's pretty obviously about them. Multiple people have figured it out. Claire is really hurt. Feel a spike of defensive anger." Write back, "Maybe Claire should examine why she's so invested in performing for male approval." Rachel doesn't respond for like 10 minutes. Then she sends, "You know what? I tried to stay neutral when you guys divorced because I thought it wasn't my business. But I watched Derek try for years to make you happy. I watched him get shut down every time he tried to do something nice or connect with you. He was miserable. We all saw it. And now he's finally happy and you can't stand it." Write back, "You have no idea what our marriage was actually like." She responds, "I know he's a good person who deserved better than someone who treated him like an inconvenience. Claire is kind and genuine, and she treats him with actual love and respect. I'm sorry that threatens you, but it says more about you than her." Then she sends one more text. "Don't contact me again. And leave them alone. They deserve to be happy." Sit there staring at my phone. Feel like I've been slapped. Thursday morning, I get an email from a former client, someone I did consulting work for, about a year ago. She says she saw the posts circulating online and recognized my name. Says she's concerned about the judgment and negativity and doesn't think our values align anymore. Says she's going to look for a different consultant for her upcoming project. That project was supposed to be a significant contract. Money I was counting on. Send a professional response, trying to clarify that my personal blog doesn't reflect my professional work. She doesn't respond. Get another email later that day from a different professional contact. Similar message. Concerned about my brand. Reconsidering our working relationship. My personal politics are becoming a liability. Friday afternoon, Amanda calls. Me. I don't want to answer, but I do. She says, "So, I saw what's been happening online." I say, "It's all being taken out of context." She says, "Is it though? Because I read your blog posts and they seem pretty clear." I start to explain about feminist analysis and patriarchal structures. She interrupts me and says, "Stop. Just stop. I'm going to say this as your friend. You sound miserable and bitter, and you're taking it out on people who are just living their lives." Tell her she doesn't understand. She says, "I understand that your ex-husband is happy, and you can't handle it. I understand that you're watching someone love him the way you never did, and it's making you face some uncomfortable truths." Say, "That's not what this is about." She says, "Then what is it about? Explain to me how attacking a woman you don't even know advances feminism." I try to articulate my point about traditional gender roles and societal expectations, but hearing myself say it out loud, it sounds weak. Sounds like rationalizations. Amanda says, "Did you ever actually love Derek?" Say, "Of course I did." She says, "Then why didn't you act like it? Why didn't you ever talk about him with any affection? Why did every story you told about him make him sound like a burden?" I feel tears starting, and I hate that I'm crying. Say, "I showed love differently. I was honest with him. I challenged him. She says, love isn't supposed to be constant challenge. Love is supposed to feel good, safe. You made that man feel inadequate for 10 years, and now you're mad that someone makes him feel valued. Tell her that's not fair. She says, what's not fair is you using feminism as an excuse to justify treating someone badly. What's not fair is you tearing down another woman because she's happy. I think you need to talk to someone, like a therapist. Tell her I don't need therapy. She says, okay. Well, I need some space from you then. This has gotten too intense and I don't want to be around this energy. She hangs. Up. Sit there in my apartment alone on a Friday night. Remember that a year ago, I had a husband and a house and a social circle. Now, I have an apartment and a declining consulting business and no one who wants to talk to me. Spend the weekend going through old photos on my computer. Photos from throughout the marriage. Our wedding, where I looked proud and defiant, and Derek looked hopeful. Vacations, where we're standing next to each other, but not touching. Holidays, with his family, where I'm visible in the background, looking at my phone while everyone else interacts. One photo, from maybe year 4, where Derek is in the kitchen, attempting to cook something. He's wearing an apron and laughing at the camera. I can see myself in the reflection of the window behind him. I'm sitting at the table with my laptop, not even looking at him. Find a video from someone's birthday party. It's at our house, probably year 5 or 6. Derek is talking to a group of people, animated and funny, making everyone laugh. Then the camera pans and catches me in the corner. I'm alone, looking at my phone, completely separate from the group. Derek looks over at me and his expression changes, goes from happy to something else, something sad. He excuses himself from the group and walks over to me. The video doesn't capture audio, but I can see him asking if I'm okay. I can see myself barely looking up, nodding, going back to my phone. I can see his shoulders drop a little as he walks away. Watch this video 3 times. Each time I see it more clearly. See the pattern that was there all along. He tried. For years, he tried. Tried to connect with me, include me, make me happy. And I treated every attempt like an imposition, like a patriarchal trap. Monday morning, I delete my blog post. Delete all the social media shares. Post a brief statement saying, I spoke out of turn and I'm taking time to reflect. The internet never really forgets though. Screenshots exist everywhere. My mentions are still full of criticism. My professional reputation has taken a hit that I don't know if I can recover from. Tuesday, I do something I never thought I'd do. I write Derek an email, not Claire, just Derek. It takes me 4 hours to write 3 paragraphs. I apologize for the blog posts. Say, I was out of line. Say, I hope he and Claire are happy. Don't make excuses. Don't explain. Just apologize. Send it before I can overthink it. He responds 3 days later. The response is brief. Thank you for the apology. I appreciate it. I hope you find what you're looking for. Take care. That's it. No anger, no bitterness. Just a polite, distant response. The same way you'd respond to a stranger. That's what I am to him now. A stranger. Someone he used to know. Start seeing a therapist the following week. She asks me about the marriage. Asks what made me fall in love with Derek. I tell her he was stable and reliable. And she asks, what else? I say he was kind. She asks if I told him that. I say I didn't need to. It was obvious. She asks how it would be obvious if I never said it. I don't have an answer. She asks me to describe a happy memory from the marriage. Sit there for a long time, trying to think of one. Finally remember a time in year 2 when we went to a bed and breakfast upstate. It was fall, and the leaves were changing. We went to an orchard and picked apples. Derek was playful that day, tossing apples, making jokes. I remember feeling happy. The therapist asks, what happened after that trip? I say we came home and went back to normal life. She asks if I told Derek I had a good time. I say I must have. But I don't actually remember saying it. She asks if there were other trips like that. I say no, we were both too busy with work. She asks if Derek suggested other trips. I sit there thinking. Realize he did suggest trips. He suggested lots of things. A weekend in the mountains. A cruise for our 5th anniversary. Visiting his college friend who lived in Colorado. I said no to all of them. Always had a reason. Too busy. Too expensive. Not interested in that destination. The therapist asks why I think I said no. I say, I don't know. She waits. Eventually, I say, I think I was afraid. She asks what I was afraid of. I say, I think I was afraid that if I let myself be happy with him, if I let myself need him, I would lose myself. Like my mother did. I would become just someone's wife instead of my own person. She says, do you think those were the only 2 options? I start crying. Really crying. Not pretty tears. Ugly sobbing. Say, I think I ruined everything because I was so determined not to be my mother that I couldn't see Derek was nothing like my father. My dad took my mum for granted, didn't appreciate her, just expected her to serve him. Derek never expected that. He just wanted me to like him, to be kind to him, and I couldn't do it because I thought kindness was weakness. The therapist hands me tissues. Says, what you're describing is a trauma response. You were so afraid of losing yourself that you never let yourself be vulnerable. And vulnerability is required for intimacy. I say, I hurt him. For 10 years I hurt him. She says, yes, and you can't undo that, but you can learn from it. Over the next few months, I keep seeing the therapist. We work through a lot of things. My relationship with my mother, my fear of traditional femininity, my use of feminist ideology to justify keeping people at a distance. Start to understand that feminism is supposed to be about choice, about women having the freedom to define their own lives. And I spent so much time judging other women's choices that I missed the point entirely. Claire choosing to cook for her husband isn't anti-feminist if it's her genuine choice, if it makes her happy, if it's part of a relationship where both people care for each other. My mother being a homemaker wasn't the problem. The problem was that my father didn't appreciate her and didn't see her work as valuable. Derek would have appreciated it, would have valued it, if I'd ever given him anything to appreciate. My consulting business eventually recovers somewhat. I rebuild my client base slowly. Stop blogging about relationships. Focus on my actual area of expertise, which is organizational development. Keep my personal life private. Through mutual acquaintances, I occasionally hear updates about Derek and Claire. They're doing well. They're happy. They're expecting a baby. Each update is a small knife in my chest. But also, I'm genuinely glad. Glad that Derek has the life he wanted, the life he deserved, the life I couldn't give him. One day, about 8 months, after everything imploded, I run into Derek at a coffee shop. My stomach drops when I see him. He's there, with Claire. She's visibly pregnant now. They're sitting at a corner table, his hand on her belly, both of them smiling about something. I should leave, should walk out before they see me. But Derek looks up and our eyes meet. There's a moment where neither of us moves. Then he says something to Claire and gets up, walks over to where I'm standing, frozen by the door. Says, hi. I say, hi. He says, how are you? I say, I'm okay. You? He says, I'm good. Really good. I say, I can see that. Congratulations. He says, thank you. We stand there in awkward silence. Then I say, I'm sorry. I know I said it in the email, but I need to say it in person. I'm sorry for everything, for how I treated you, for the blog posts, for all of it. You deserve better. He's quiet for a moment. Then he says, I appreciate that. I've done a lot of therapy too, actually. Worked through a lot of stuff about why I stayed so long in something that wasn't working. I nod. He says, I hope you're doing okay. Really. I say, I hope you're happy. Really. He smiles, and it's genuine. Says, I am. Looks back at Claire, who's watching us with concern. He says, I should get back. I say, of course. He turns to leave, then stops. Says, for what it's worth. I did love you. I tried really hard to love you the way you needed. I just don't think you wanted to be loved. Not by me anyway. Then he goes back to his wife and his unborn child and his life that I'm not part of. I leave without ordering coffee. drive back to my apartment, sit in my car for a while. He's right. I didn't want to be loved. I wanted to be right. I wanted to prove that I was different, independent, not like other women. Wanted to win some imaginary battle against patriarchy. And I sacrificed a real relationship with a real person who cared about me. I think about Claire and everything I criticized about her. The cooking and the lunch packing and the affection. And I realize those aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of love. Love I was too afraid to give. Too defended to receive. Derek said he tried to love me the way I needed. But I never told him what I needed. Because I didn't know. Because I was so busy defining myself by what I wasn't that I never figured out what I was. I'm sitting here alone in my car outside my empty apartment. Derek is in there with his pregnant wife planning their future, and I have no one to blame but myself. Not patriarchy, not traditional gender roles, not Derek's expectations. Myself, my fear, my rigidity, my inability to be vulnerable, my need to be right instead of happy. I took 10 years of someone's life. 10 years he spent trying to connect with me while I pushed him away, and someone else gave him more love in 1 week than I gave him in a decade. Because she wasn't afraid. Because she understood what I couldn't. That love isn't about power, or politics, or proving points. It's about showing up for someone. Seeing them. Valuing them. Making them feel like they matter. All the things I never did. All the things I was too defended to do. And now, it's too late. He's moved on. Built a life with someone who actually wants to love him. And I'm here. Alone with my principles and my pride. Wondering how I got it all so wrong. Wondering if I'll ever be capable of what Claire does so naturally. Wondering if anyone will ever try to love me the way Derek tried. And if they do, wondering if I'll be brave enough to let them.